At 80, Burt Lancaster reveals the 7 most evil actors in Hollywood. Imagine a Hollywood legend reaching 80 years old and finally deciding to reveal the darkest secrets of his peers. That's exactly what Burt Lancaster did. In a stunning confession, he exposed 7 actors he called the most evil in Hollywood. Today, we dive into that explosive and unsettling list. Burt Lancaster, the weight of his words. Burt Lancaster wasn't just any actor. He was a symbol of Hollywood's golden age, a man who rose from humble beginnings as a circus acrobat to become one of the most respected leading men in cinema. Known for his versatility in classics like Elmer Gantry, From Here to Eternity, and The Birdman of Alcatraz, he carried an aura of honesty and intensity that audiences admired. By the time Lancaster reached 80, he was far removed from the pressures of Hollywood politics. He had no films to promote, no roles to fight for, and no studios to please. This gave his words a raw, unfiltered quality. When Lancaster revealed who he considered the 7 most evil actors in Hollywood, fans and insiders alike sat up in shock. But why did he speak out? Perhaps it was his way of leaving behind truth instead of silence. Perhaps he wanted to remind the world that Hollywood isn't always the dreamland it pretends to be. Whatever his reason, the names he listed were shocking. Let's go through each one. 1. Kirk Douglas. The first name Lancaster revealed was Kirk Douglas, one of his closest rivals and sometimes collaborator. Douglas, famous for Spartacus and 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea, was a powerhouse of charisma, but according to Lancaster, that charm masked a ruthless personality. Lancaster claimed Douglas had an anything-to-win attitude. On set, Douglas reportedly undermined co-stars, pressured directors, and even manipulated producers to secure better billing. While audiences adored his heroic roles, Lancaster saw a darker side, an ambition so sharp it often cut through friendships and professional trust. To Burt, Douglas wasn't just competitive, he was dangerously driven, willing to sacrifice others' success to elevate himself. This ruthless ambition earned him the first spot on the list. 2. Tony Curtis. Next came Tony Curtis, the golden boy of the 1950s and 1960s. With films like Some Like It Hot, Curtis built an image of playful charm and romantic appeal, but Lancaster revealed that behind the playful exterior was arrogance. According to Lancaster, Curtis looked down on those who weren't famous or glamorous enough. He could be dismissive of crew members and even harsh toward fans. His smile, Lancaster claimed, was more of a mask than a reflection of kindness. This duplicity, presenting one version of himself to the public while hiding a much harsher personality, made Curtis, in Lancaster's eyes, one of Hollywood's most deceptive figures. 3. Frank Sinatra. Few names carried as much power as Frank Sinatra. He wasn't just a singer, he was an empire of influence, music, and film. But Lancaster's inclusion of Sinatra wasn't about talent, it was about power misused. According to Lancaster, Sinatra wasn't merely respected, he was feared. His rumored ties to organized crime gave him leverage that went beyond Hollywood contracts. He could silence critics, pressure studios, and get roles others could only dream of. While fans saw Old Blue Eyes as a crooner with charm, Lancaster argued that Sinatra embodied the dangerous side of Hollywood. When stardom mixes with power, it often turns into intimidation. 4. Laurence Olivier. When people think of greatness in acting, they think of Laurence Olivier. His mastery of Shakespeare and his commanding stage presence made him one of the most admired actors of the 20th century. But Lancaster's view stripped away the glamour. He described Olivier as arrogant to the point of cruelty. Young actors eager to learn from him were often dismissed and belittled. Olivier, Lancaster said, saw himself not as a colleague, but as a king among servants. While audiences applauded Olivier's performances, those working with him often left feeling diminished. For Lancaster, Olivier's unchecked ego and habit of demeaning others made him one of the evil figures hidden behind brilliance. 5. Robert Mitchum. Robert Mitchum was the classic tough guy of Hollywood, the star of gritty noirs like Out of the Past and Cape Fear. He was admired for his rugged masculinity and rebellious nature. But Lancaster revealed something darker. He described Mitchum as cold, indifferent, and lacking empathy. Mitchum's brushes with the law and hard-living lifestyle weren't just part of his image. They were reflections of his disregard for others. On set, Mitchum could be dismissive, aloof, and even cruel. Lancaster believed that behind Mitchum's iconic screen presence was a man who simply didn't care about people. For him, that absence of compassion made Mitchum truly dangerous. 6. Marlon Brando. Perhaps the most shocking name on Lancaster's list was Marlon Brando. Brando was a game-changer in acting, revolutionizing Hollywood with his raw, naturalistic style in films like A Streetcar, named Desire and The Godfather. But Lancaster's view was uncompromising. He described Brando as manipulative and self-destructive, a man who used people when it suited him and abandoned them when it didn't. He was accused of mistreating women, betraying friends, and living a life that often left others in pain. To Lancaster, Brando's brilliance was undeniable, but his behavior revealed the dark cost of genius. His ability to inspire on-screen while inflicting harm off-screen made him one of Hollywood's most complicated and most evil figures. 7. Errol Flynn. The final name was Errol Flynn, the swashbuckling star of The Adventures of Robin Hood. Known worldwide as the charming rogue, Flynn seemed like the ultimate Hollywood hero. But Lancaster's take was chilling. Flynn's personal life was filled with scandal, reckless behavior, accusations of assault, and constant controversy. Lancaster described Flynn as someone who embodied excess and abuse of power. Behind the adventurous smile, Flynn was self-indulgent, morally corrupt, and destructive to those around him. Lancaster believed Flynn symbolized the very worst of Hollywood, a man adored by fans yet deeply toxic behind closed doors. Why Lancaster's list shook Hollywood? This wasn't just gossip. It was a revelation from a man who had lived through Hollywood's golden age. Lancaster had worked with, competed against, and observed these men up close. He wasn't relying on rumors. He was sharing personal truth. His words shattered the carefully polished images of stars that millions worshipped. Fans who saw their heroes as flawless suddenly had to confront the reality that behind the lights and cameras, darkness often lurked. Lancaster's confession also forced a larger question. How many stars, even today, wear masks that hide toxic behavior? How much of Hollywood's shine is real, and how much is an illusion crafted to protect reputations? The legacy of his revelation. When Burt Lancaster made these claims, he didn't just expose 7 names. He exposed the entire industry's culture of secrecy. Hollywood thrives on glamour, but as Lancaster reminded the world, it also thrives on ego, betrayal, and corruption. His courage to speak out at 80 years old ensured that his words wouldn't be dismissed as petty rivalry. Instead, they became a warning. They showed that no matter how bright the spotlight, darkness always follows close behind. Don't forget to hit like this video, subscribe, and turn on notifications.